Sorry?
That's all right, I've just done it.
Welcome to this meeting of the Western Area Planning Committee. My name is Councillor David Beeman and I am the chairman of this committee. Members and officers, please raise your hand to indicate that you wish to speak. Please keep your microphone on mute when you were not speaking. And please can I also ask any questions that get brief and to the point. We'll be timing speeches this evening and an alarm will sound when you hear me speaking for 4 minutes. Okay, apologies for absence and substitutes. Kimberly.
Thank you, Chairman. We have apologies for absence from Councillor George Hess, Councillor Peter Isherwood and Councillor Jackie Keane. And we have Councillor Jerome Davidson here as a substitute.
Thank you very much. The minutes or notes of the last meeting at the committee, please note the minutes of the meeting has now been published on the council website. Everybody in agreement with those? Great. Very good. Declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest received from members?
No, Chairman.
Does any member wish to declare any interest tonight? No? Okay. Members of the public, Kimberly?
No, Chairman, we've had no questions from members of the public, neither have we had questions from members.
Thank you very much. Any relevant legislation, changes to legislation on government guidance? Chris?
Thank you, Chairman. No, none at the moment.
Okay. Right, we move on to the first item, which is a TPO 0921 at 25A Upper Bourne Lane, Farnham, which was to consider the objection of making a tree preservation order 092021 and to determine whether the order should be confirmed with or without modification. The report has no doubt source implications, the environmental benefits of maintaining trees which merit further protection. I believe we have an update on this, Chris.
Thank you, Chairman, and good evening, members. I have an update in relation to this item. After much consideration, the head of planning has taken the decision to remove this item from the agenda, so this item won't be heard tonight. Thank you, Chairman.
I cannot say I'm very happy about this, to be quite honest, but I'll learn about this at 5 o'clock.
I think there was a question as to why that has been removed. Is that the council's tree officer has, on further consideration, taken a view that there's insufficient grounds to support the confirmation of the TPO. So for those reasons, it's not appropriate for us to put it forward as an item. Chairman, thank you.
Well, I heard about it at 5 o'clock. And it was meant today, I guess. Can't debate it because we didn't take it off the agenda, but Councillor James wants to say something?
Sorry, could I just ask the officer then that everything that's written on page 9 is incorrect, that's in black, heavy black? I mean, he's answered all of it in heavy black.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, page 9 has a lot of the debate about the neighbours' representation and the view that's provided in relation to that. The view that's come forward now is one that we're no longer able to support a recommendation for confirmation. So what has been put forward in that report is no longer the report that we're putting to committee. I think that's about all I can cover on.
Well, I think I can say I'm unhappy, to say the least. I should be writing to the head of the planning, and I'll send copies to every member of this committee to express my concern, let's say it that way. Because I mean, it's just, I mean, well, speaks for itself, doesn't it? Do you want to say something, Councillor Coburn?
I don't really want to prolong it because we're all here anyway, but it was such a short agenda. You know, before we came, I did say that I couldn't see why some of this couldn't be rolled over, and you know, to lose 1 out of 2, especially when the second one is, you know, not exactly an in-depth application, is rather unfortunate. I mean, if this were on a long agenda, we wouldn't be sort of so worried about it.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. The reason why we decided to meet today was because we were aware there's quite a lot of items coming up for the next agenda. So I wanted to, you know, that was the reason why, but obviously backfired on me, didn't it? But anyway, okay. I shall send copies to every member of this committee of expressing my concern, and you know, because it is unbelievable, really. I mean, anyway, okay, fair enough. Now we'll move on. Which brings us to the only application discussed tonight, which is WA 2021-02541, the land at Hampton House, Tilford Road, Tilford, Farnham, GU10 2DD, an extension and alteration to existing outbuilding to provide additional habitable accommodation, and Adam Constantino to present the case.
Thank you, Chairman. Let's take a moment to share my screen, and good evening, members. As previously stated by the Chairman, this application is for the erection of an extension and alterations to an existing outbuilding to provide further additional habitable accommodation. This application has been brought before the committee this evening due to the planning agent involved being related to a Waverley officer. This is the site location plan for the proposed development, with the red line denoting the site boundary. It's located on the northeastern side of Tilford Road, just to the northeast of Tilford Common, which is located just here, just off the southwest corner. This is an aerial view of the site with the red arrow denoting the centre of the application site. These are some recently taken photographs of the building in question. The first 2 photographs here give an indication of the scale of the existing structure and give an indication of the surrounding character. These next 2 pictures, the first one gives an indication of the profile view of the building, and the second shows its relationship to the main dwelling. This is the block plan for the proposed development. The area shaded grey here is not the sum of the area to be extended, but the sum total of the alterations and proposed extension. The proposed extension is concentrated on this final section here and steps out the development this way. This will become clearer on the next slide. And the extension does not actually increase the length of the dwelling along the width. Here is the proposed floor plan. As you can see, the proposed extension is this section here. This distance measures circa 0.6 meters and adds roughly 4.3 square meters to the overall footprint of the building. Here are the proposed elevation plans, as well. As you notice that the overhang that's present on the original building is also retained, and the proposed extension does not extend beyond this existing overhang. So the main matters for consideration for the committee this evening are its design and impact on visual amenity, its impact on residential amenity, the impact on the green belt, and the impact on the area of great landscape value and the area of outstanding natural beauty. Officers are recommending this application for approval. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Adam. Right. No. Oh, Councillor Rini first, and then Councillor Coburn.
Thank you, Chair. It's only a very minor thing. You say in here, and I think I understand it, but for everybody's benefit, it says the proposed habitable accommodation would still be required for main ancillary. If we're calling this habitable, and I believe that's a technical term, could you explain to us that people aren't actually living there, but by habitable you have to have that because of the gymnasium, I believe?
Thank you, Chairman. Is that okay to speak to that? Yep. Okay. Yes, that's the reason why it's been called habitable accommodation. It's not intended to be a separate dwelling or anything along those lines. So that would require its own consent if it was what was occupied as a separate dwelling. So okay.
Yes, well, it's on similar lines, although it is explained to us on page 14. It's just really, I find the phrase or the words, slightly misleading. And certainly we have an issue in the Bourne at the moment where the word habitable has confused certainly the residents concerned. I think it's pretty clear from what you said here that we are not looking at anything that could be lived in. But I think, we do get to the stage with one or two of these outbuildings at the moment with a bit of creep of what they suddenly discover they need, a sort of wash hand basin would be rather nice. And before you know it, there's a loo creeps in. And I'm not attributing any of these motives to these people whatsoever. Please, I must make that clear. But I do think, with what we've got going on at the moment in terms of outbuildings, because there's certainly a big industry in them at the moment, we must tighten up on what we're saying. And when we say, we must always define habitable and we must always define ancillary to the main building, make it very, very clear. And as you say, we know in planning terms they would have to come in, but we do know, well, certainly just in my own area, there's a couple of dubious outbuildings, or put it this way, dubious uses of outbuildings at the moment, which certainly don't have any full permission. So I think it's really a question of terminology, clarity, and I know this is very brief and why it's in, but you got to tell me the government says habitable and that's the word we've got to use.
Thank you, Chairman. One thing we could consider doing would be adding an informative to remind them that it would have to be occupied in an ancillary manner. I think that would probably be appropriate if members were happy to do so.
Okay, Councillor Edmonds.
Thank you very much, Chair. I've done a lot of work recently on reviewing inspector decisions. So I've essentially come up with analysis to guide myself on decisions. Is my current understanding from reviewing the planning process and the agenda that Section 38(6) of the Planning and Compulsory Purchase Act 2004 requires that development be in accordance with the development plan, unless material considerations indicate otherwise. A material indication is NPPF 2021, considered as a whole, which it frequently is not, which allows unacceptable development to be made acceptable through planning conditions. Planning conditions should be kept to a minimum, relevant, enforceable, and I emphasize the word enforceable, precise and reasonable in all other respects. The presumption in favor of sustainable development is frequently misconstrued. It is to secure development that improves economic, social, and environmental conditions within the area, from which it is difficult to see why we are discussing sustainable development in a green belt with outstanding natural beauty. Please could it be advised how the proposed conditions will be enforceable and why the development is in accord with D1, environment implications of development, and D4, design and layout, especially when there is delegated provision for external material change. Thank you. Sorry. Finally, is there an audit trail to confirm how the compliance with the development plan has been carried out?
Okay, so Adam.
Thank you, Chairman. The report itself sets out why we believe it to be compliant with the development plan. It addresses the area of outstanding natural beauty and the
Sorry, is there a microphone available? I'm having difficulty hearing you.
Yeah, sorry, my microphone is switched on, so I'll try and speak up a bit more. The report itself does set out the reasons why we believe it's comply with the development plan, and it references the green belt and the area of outstanding natural beauty and sets out our position in that. So in terms of an audit trail of why we've come to that, our report is in officer's opinion is clear on that in that regard. In terms of enforceability of conditions, is there a particular condition you're raising concern with, Chairman, if you don't mind me asking?
Edmonds, Councillor Edmonds? Is there any particular condition you're concerned with, or are you applying it to all conditions?
Sorry, I'm still.
Sorry, Chairman, Councillor Edmonds, is there any specific condition that you're concerned about, or are you applying that to all the conditions?
Sorry, the condition that I'm particularly concerned about is the change in materials. The change in materials is of concern because if non-combustible materials are changed for combustible materials, then we have a problem, as was exhibited in Grenfell. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. They're quite standard conditions. They've got two conditions. One's a plans condition, the other is a materials condition, which is standard materials condition. It should be, it should be completed in accordance with the approved plans. I'm happy that those serve the correct planning purposes. Chairman.
Councillor Davidson, did you want to speak? Did you put your hand up? No, okay. Right, anybody? Well, shall we move to the recommendation? That's subject to conditions 1 to 2 and informatives, including the additional informatives suggested by Chris French. Permission be granted. Those in favour, please raise their hand. And abstain. Result, please, Kimberly.
Thank you, Chairman. So the result is 11 in favour, 1 against and no abstentions. Thank you.
Oh, that since there are no exempt items, that can just not. But I mean, I will say, well, words fail me, and I shall be writing to the panic. Okay, bye bye.